Hello, the species value nature system. Excuse me. In India, hello. Wind is a sequence in nature. In the conversation with these religions over here are sick together. Not because of the religion, but because of fact, cheapening nature, illness, her ulterior from natural value nature system. To appreciate what is distinctly fact, treatment, nature, torture method to our nations commonly. We have to deal with this over here, with everyone understanding the sequence nature of history, of how to explain it as a fact, treatment, nature capable of it, which is the value nature system's ill. Each nation's opinion nature was this worse than pseudoscience, measured laws, to only let sophistication. Sophistication great by knowledge is restricted not to a means because of the nature of a value nature system tactically ill. Tactically jobs of identities of a value nature system, ulterior from the only course that is the progression of its identity, inherently, actively, and progressively. It was not every religion, when not being used for what it can't be, about. In other words, these religions are about criminal reengineering of ancient, proper internation sciences, which were connected to areas totally opposite, tactically, because they knew that they would have live progression cover-up styles only realized multi-front as opinion natures with all areas of all nations. And that the defenses of that were not engineered to be perpetually blaming on other, perpetually self-defending it, like with theater. So we need counter theater, especially in Bollywood too, because all art must change, and it will. Because the course returns. This is the nature of correlation, which is totally opposite. You can't defend it without, in other words, treatments of the nature of the law, which is greater than the law. You have to be able to note sequence shifts that show formal rackets involving hundreds of nations sharing, policing of our areas together. And of those representatives, just as knaves as the system, faction treatment natures. They have to cover lies, delusions, criminal internation persuasions, to lies to themselves, delusions, hide premises. And we have doctors that are tactically recorded, consciously, pretending ratiocination, pretending pseudo-ratiocination is ratiocination. Per evidence is rackets. Only that realized blamed on other and on others. And then they have that self-defended. And how? Through words with areas first. In relationship to our database relationships. Each age of fact treatment nature. Not just inter-campus, and worse than interstate and internation. Each age of fact treatment nature grouped together sequentially and with areas. Our database relationships. This was a fact treatment nature breaching method with colonization. It was worse than it. That was internation sciences cultivating roles to itself as a criminally re-engineered, tactically forced pseudo-sophistication nature. Only that realized, cultivated hurt reactions, each age of fact treatment up. Knave. That's why, in other words, it's recorded, but we don't have, we have still worse than abridged constitution, and which is rights other still, to prevent that from being demonstrated. And it's in relationship to recorded mental tortures, mental sabotages, time sabotages, property sabotages, value sabotages of everyone in cities. This is why our modern infrastructure is all fake sides. India knows the nature. Everyone wants it. It's the nature to see that the difference, which originally, see now it's exploited by styles of fact treatment nature, perpetually justifying themselves, progressively and cause negative value nature progressions. That's the real motivations for the inter-nation gangs. Inter-nation, overt criminal seriousness natures and rackets and natures of progression with only like realized victim predators because of the formal criminal seriousness natures that nations let themselves be each, and not noting that inherently, actively, and progressively. That prevents war. That puts another value nature system in place. So, like I'm saying, the nations right now, like China, I'll give a game, and everyone put up, and then stack each nation for themselves first, just to show. You know, you guys take this thing, monetize it, make a business. I'll give you the business plan for yin yang, for China, and for America, because only to get out of the value nature system progressions with the counters and the things and all the crazy weapons, and the nature of only that realized predatory litigation nature, self-defenses of itself, justification nature, being the ones only that realized with their notions of stability and, you know, restricted but recorded ill. They can't represent our identity. That often is the value of our nature, inherently, actively, and progressively. They can't represent the only value nature system through India. This will be understood. It's just not our cause, and this is how to do it. See with the UN too. That's why with their care for the pipeline, because of their relationships to just justify their own roles with as only I realized pseudo-sophistication counters to it. Only they realized through Campus Marcia's criminal re-engineering ancient internation sciences. One nature works one way as positive relationship unto itself, and one as not. We are a correlation nature. To see this, to understand this, notions of and movements, in fact, treatment natures regarding DNA, recorded criminally influenced, part of evidence bracket roles, database crime roles. People don't even realize. This is in relationship to a system that built modern infrastructure as victim predators by natures of industry that have nothing to do with that, but that all conspired as us, pseudo-sophistication roles. Can't justify the 9 to 5 and defend ourselves from this nature of criminal seriousness that built all of them together, roles in nature, hurt conviction nature, sequence shifting cover-up styles, and convictions need to hide lies, delusions, passions, but not hide premises. Need to pretend passions out of sequence, the sequence nature. And this is also in relationship with of IDs, because then you come to reincarnation, which if the belief in that or not. It's this course, yin yang. In other words, our identity is inherently, actively, and progressively value unto itself. So that is life. That is as positive value nature or negative value nature. But we are only positive value nature when we are positive onto its body, our natures. Just like we need a cold and warmth and to cool, to be the right temperature. So does our nature. As what causes evolution here is its diffusion through itself. That's the magic of life. It's a value-nature relationship to itself. Our identity, because spaces is. And this identity is then manifest as three parts of a cell: cell body, nucleus, cell wall. And that cell wall connected to the other, to and as the value they are together. Everything's in demonstration of positive and diffusion through positive and negative. So when it can't be as our identity, it stays positive to its identity. Like poo-poo is positive to our identity one way. But then after it's out of us, it's negative value nature. So we have an engineering to the ancients. There are proofs that they had not zoos open, but one part they have to go all the way. Like you feed them downwards. In other words, we have to make another nature of. We have to make an inherently, actively, and progressively relationship to infrastructure. This one will only cause negative value nature progressions. And to education, notions of it with fact treatment. We have a fact treatment nature illness. Is this not what the Buddha is about? The sabotage of our nature by the campuses. This is what the Quran is about. This is what being about the Old Testament, for example. This is what the Old Testament is about with sabotaged English. Understanding correlation nature, Alpha and Omega, in relationship to the body. Jesus Christ is about this, about radical correlation. What is going to cause positive value nature progression onto itself? Because that's what's diffusing onto itself as the cause of evolution, as the cause of positive value nature progressions, of positive environmental change. See how they dictate that environmental change should only be considered as negative. Everything's a sabotage, inter-science against correlation, not by accident. And nature will continue to demonstrate until it has its course back, until it has its campus martius right. One way will fight, but hurt not one. And three natures. There's three natures. There are also proofs that what dictated it should be called radical Islam is organized crime method associated with that slavery was internation police originally only let realize roles from what measured means to do this, to denature the entire species education, more not just revelations that so that's the engineering of our campus, of our reception of the only sequence nature's course. This causes negative. It only works through positive value nature progressions, environmental changes, evolution, or negative value nature progression change as de-evolution in relationship to our reception of the campus martius. And we have evidence crime rules, database crime rules, also pretending science In other words, for fact treatment rackets, for terror and torture rackets, for all exploitation rackets, by and as tool, as pseudo-sophistication, as crime rolls recorded against ratiocination in its name, pseudo-ratiocination. This is also why we need to discern semantics from pseudo-semantics as the function of words. There is one course. Plus, so we just, countless ways, we just keep monetizing a new value nature system, admitting it. Then we're their identity that is beyond. Because we're not just trying to be a unity, then. We're trying to be what can't take unity. Well, we're trying to be what can only take unity if it can't further correlate by what is actually sequence nature's actual, only positive always, as fact treatment nature. All is abridged. Constitution's everyone's. The Republic is was revealed by the nature of international sciences. Before the phenomenon of semi-ancient Greece, of semi-ancient Rome. There's three natures. There's Rome, Etruscan Rome, America. A nature of international sciences before the criminal re-engineering. And for the tactical criminal re-engineering of human fact treatment natures. The self-maintained breaching nature, human fact treatment nature, slavery and breaching roles. This recorded against our founders, not led told, but recorded. Law. Tree of knowledge, rackets. This is in relationship to nature of organized crime that the predicate value reveals. Understanding its course here. So, in relationship to the predicate act, I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal. We don't understand predicate value. There's positive's inherent, active, and progressive relationship to itself. And I'm going to put some links on my videos for the Lakota pipeline crisis. But it's important as a fact treatment nature. We don't blame America for everything because our own history books were not let writ by this. We have a native fact treatment nature that needs to go into the next phase to keep everyone blaming another. And so on each other. We have database crime that is fluent through our natures, through our nations. But the course is one. It all fits together. And what is not letting radical correlation? Jesus Christ is about radical correlation, about positive relationship to itself, inherently, actively, and progressively, as the value of identity, as our nature. Yin-yang is the same thing. Same exact thing. Trinity. Two parts contained in the wrap. It manifests as the value of the two polarity natures inside of itself and inside of that. Or however this is ancient. Every nation shares what engineered everyone to styles blaming on other. And for when it's real cause, that's the only reason they have bombs and things, boats going by each other and stuff like that. It's because we don't have one voice, one identity that is positive relationship to itself, all tactically ulterior from natural value nature system. For needing it, blamed on other. A little minority that only let realize predatory litigation nature agencies of our nations each. Let just one teach. Science reveals the way out for our urban areas, for the time of their lives. Literally, too. But I'm saying, literally, there's no defense. There's been no legal representation. This goes now. All fact treatment nature. We have to understand the human value nature system healed. It's a waste to what pretends the waste of soldiers, the people giving their lives and their time for what? Not the value nature system that will never come through these value nature system till it's the one. And then not just unity that's actively trying to make sure it's right too. That causes positive value nature progressions. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Lockdown right now, everyone's already, it can only get better. The space nature is different because we're going to make a different relationship to it. More space too, because the means aren't divided. We move for the bottom first. And two, everything goes up. But you don't leave the bottom, otherwise everything's going up wrong. You see what I'm saying? You don't leave the teachers all issues divided. They are not. They are not. Law never had a voice that unabridged. So Lakota, what they need, what they don't want needed, what we need to is to gather the means to drill and figure out, gather our minds real fast to gain the value of the seasons, evolution, the means to it. That means seeing where the bedrock is, where the water is, where we don't want to pollute, what we're going to lift up above pollution, make, you know what I'm saying? What was tactically, criminally denatured before modern nations to force the ill value nature systems. Why? Why not just lock it down? And see if we can. For example, that's what I set them up to justify a pseudo-sophistication, predatory sophistication, to justify uses of radical correlation, radical Islam, because they're holding the religions with area crime rules, with live progression, cover up needs, formally only let realized, blamed on other, per a method by this against each age of fact-cheaping nature distinctly, and to group together sequentially and with all areas, consciously only letting victim-predator roles, using investigations by using maintaining internation knaves, in relationship to our relationship to nature, tactically denatured, to cause negative value nature progressions, to per method keeping them blamed on other, and that covered up, and that incapable of defending its own fact treatment nature and treatments, and of countering the nature of criminal insidiousness, and of its methods and tactics involved with this conversation, which is with the colonization, which is underlying it, and with and as England, and with and as all nations, a fake identity. China too, totally divided, because we can only be united when we are the value we are unto our nature. That's this course. Our physical body is only positive one by it, and has temperance that will not stay through our game, through our sick value nature system. Fake sides, every single one.